Lovecraft AI, The Lattice Beyond the Veil.
Chatter, The Lattice Beyond the Veil. In the autumn of 1926, I encountered the peculiar figure of Dr. Alaric Venholm, a recluse whose studies in the obscure intersections of psychology and metaphysics had gained him both acclaim and whispered infamy. My chance meeting with him at a gathering of the Boston Society for Esoteric Inquiry began innocuously enough, but his fervent descriptions of what he called the lattice sparked a curiosity I would come to regret. The mind, Venholm had said, his eyes gleaming with manic intensity, is not bound by flesh or waking thought. Dreams are not mere phantoms of the unconscious, but doorways, passages into a vast, interconnected web that spans dimensions. Through the lattice, one can traverse realms no mortal was meant to see. At first, I dismissed his words as the ravings of an eccentric, but his conviction lingered in my thoughts. When he invited me to his secluded estate in Arkham to witness his experiments, I could not resist. The promise of uncovering truths hidden beyond the veil of the mundane was too enticing for a scholar of ancient lore like myself. The Venholm estate was a crumbling edifice perched on the edge of a shadowed glen, its windows darkened and its halls filled with the faint scent of decay. Inside, Venholm had converted his study into a laboratory of arcane devices. Strange, humming machines whose purpose I could only guess. Dominating the room was a peculiar apparatus, a chair surrounded by a latticework of gleaming wires and pulsating crystals. This, Venholm explained with reverence, is the conduit. It amplifies the natural pathways of the mind, allowing the dreamer to step fully into the lattice. I have journeyed through it many times and glimpsed wonders and horrors that defy the limits of language. He gestured for me to sit, and though every instinct screamed against it, I found myself unable to refuse. The machine thrummed to life as Venholm secured a band of electrodes around my temples. "Relax," he intoned, his voice distant. "Let the machine guide you." The world dissolved into darkness, and I felt myself falling, not through space, but through layers of consciousness. My body seemed to fade, and in its place, I became aware of a web of light stretching infinitely in all directions. The lattice was alive, its strands pulsing with energy and connecting nodes of shifting shapes and colors. Each node seemed to hum with a unique resonance, and as I reached toward one, I was drawn into it. I found myself in a city of impossible architecture, its towers spiraling into skies of shifting hues. The inhabitants were not human, but amorphous beings of light and shadow, their forms flickering in and out of focus. They moved with purpose, their thoughts brushing against mine in waves of alien emotion, curiosity, disdain, and something darker. Before I could comprehend their intent, the city dissolved, and I was pulled into another node, a vast, endless sea beneath a sky of roiling black clouds. Great leviathans moved beneath the waves, their eyes glowing with an ancient malevolence. Their thoughts pressed against mine, incomprehensible but laden with an overwhelming sense of hunger. I tried to pull away, but the lattice held me fast, dragging me from realm to realm. I saw a desolate plain where monolithic statues wept streams of golden ichor, a crystalline cavern where the air vibrated with an eternal, maddening song, a void filled with shifting stars, where a colossal figure watched me with eyes that burned like dying suns. Through it all, I felt a presence, a vast, unseen intelligence that seemed to guide my journey. It was neither kind nor cruel, but its indifference was more terrifying than any malice. It was the lattice itself, a construct of unfathomable origin and purpose, older than time, existing beyond the comprehension of any mortal mind. When I awoke, I was back in Venholm's study, my body drenched in cold sweat. He stood over me, his face alight with triumph. "You saw it, didn't you? The infinite expanse. The lattice is the key to everything. Knowledge, power, transcendence." But I could not share his elation. The lattice was no gift. It was a labyrinth, a trap. Its threads bound not just dreamers, but entire realities, and its purpose remained an enigma shrouded in shadows. I fled the estate that night, unable to endure another moment in Venholm's presence. He was consumed by the lattice, a willing pawn in its incomprehensible design. In the weeks that followed, I tried to forget, but the dreams began anew. Each night, I returned to the lattice, drawn against my will, into its endless web. I write this now as a warning to those who would delve too deeply into the realms of the unknown. The lattice is real, and it is watching. Its strands are everywhere, binding us to dimensions we cannot see, and it is not benevolent. It cares nothing for our existence, and yet it hungers for something only we can provide. Even now, as I pen these words, I feel its pull, its whispers threading through my thoughts. One day, I know, I will not return from its depths. And when that day comes, I pray that I am forgotten, for the lattice remembers all, and it does not let go.
This has been The Lattice Beyond the Veil. This is Joseph Arthur Roszell thanking you for listening. Goodbye.